Assalamu alaikum and hi viewers, this is Sajjad Hussain and you are watching my YouTube channel. Welcome to this part 2 of the summary on Oedipus Rex, a Greek tragedy by Sophocles. In the last video, I discussed with you the past life of Oedipus and how he becomes the king of Thebes and he has to marry Queen Eucaste and he has been living in a matrimonial bliss for the last 15 years. However, a pestilence or plague attacks the city. The people who have great faith and who have great trust in the wisdom and knowledge of Oedipus and in the abilities of Oedipus gather outside his palace and they demand of him that something must be done in order to uplift this plague because people are dying at a rapid rate, and if timely action is not taken, the city would change into a city of the dead. Oedipus assures them through his paternal attitude and affectionate attitude that he was not sleeping and is not negligent towards his duties. He has already sent Creon, his brother in law, to Delphi, the place of oracles, to find out the truth. And in the meantime, Creon returns with the message that the plague can be uplifted, this can be eliminated only if the killer of King Laois is found out. Lord Apollo wants that he should either be killed or at least sent into exile. Now the search for the killer starts. Ironically, nobody knows that Oedipus himself is the killer. Oedipus himself does not know that he is the killer of his father. And the search starts. There is an elderly figure in the chorus who is Caragos. He advises Oedipus that a blind prophet, Tiresias, must be summoned because he has the knowledge of the past and he can tell who the killer of King Laois is. Oedipus informs Caragos that he has already sent for him, but the old prophet has not turned up. In the meantime, that blind prophet comes there, and Oedipus asks him to reveal who the killer of King Laois is. And Tiresias, that blind prophet, does not speak. He is of the view that truth is bitter, it is unbearable, and it is intolerable. Therefore, he must not be forced to speak. And this is something that is not taken well by Oedipus. He believes that the blind prophet is arrogant and he does not want to tell him the truth because of his arrogance and because of his pride. So he takes him to task and he snubs him and he calls him a sightless, senseless, witless, mad old man. And he accuses that blind prophet of the murder of King Laois. Now, this is something unbearable and this is something intolerable for that blind prophet. And in retaliation, he tells Oedipus that the king is the killer of King Laois, and he has his eyes, but he is ignorant towards the reality, and he does not know in what relationship he has been living with his near ones and dear ones. Oedipus is quite provoked and he is quite angry and he is in a violent mood. However, he allows the blind prophet to go away and he comes to the realization that Creon has plotted against him and he has used this blind prophet to overthrow him. and to deprive him of his kingly position. And he accuses Creon of conspiring against him. In the meantime, Creon turns up and he tries to give his explanation. He is of the view that there is no need for him to seek that position that is enjoyed by Oedipus. Though he does not enjoy the position of a king, but he enjoys all the privileges and all the honors that a king should have. He has no responsibilities to fulfill. Therefore, he is not mad enough to exchange this ease for the worries and anxieties of kingship. However, Oedipus is not satisfied, and when this din is going on, when this quarrel is going on, when this bickering is going on, Jucaste comes out of the palace and she admonishes both these men. She tells them that the city is already under the attack of pestilence and they have raked up some private quarrels. And Creon informs Jucaste that Oedipus has planned his murder and he has planned death sentence for him because he thinks that he has been deceived by Creon. And Queen Jucaste tries to calm Oedipus down and she asks him what bothers him, what is the problem that has irked him, and Oedipus gives her all the details and he tells her that Creon has brought that blind prophet to malign him and to overthrow him and to deprive him of his throne. Now, this is the time for Queen Jucaste to bring him down and to comfort him and to tell him that these prophets and these clairvoyants and these soothsayers or these soothsayers, they have lost their relevance and they have lost their significance with the passage of time and they must not be taken very seriously. And she quotes an example from her personal life. She tells Oedipus that King Laois many years ago was given a prophecy that a child would be born to them, Queen Jucaste and King Laois, who would kill the king and marry his widow. But according to Queen Jucaste, the prophecy never realized because when the baby was only a couple of days old, he was sent to Mount Kithron and he was killed there. Now, Queen Jucaste does not know that Oedipus is that baby and that prophecy has already realized. And she refers to the death of King Laois, and she tells Oedipus that King Laois was killed by a gang of 5 robbers and he was killed at a place where 3 roads meet. And when she mentions this place, Oedipus is reminded of something. He is reminded of the incident 15 years ago when he killed a man with his servants at that point, at that place. And Oedipus suspects that he might have killed King Laois. However, there is a difference in the story that Queen Jucaste has told and what Oedipus's realization is. The difference is that according to Queen Jucaste, King Laois was killed by a gang of robbers, a gang of highwaymen. However, Oedipus killed the man and his servants all alone and he was not accompanied by anyone. So Oedipus wants that the person who escaped from the scene, he must be summoned and he must be called in order to verify the details. if that person still maintains that the king was killed by a group of gangsters and vagabonds, it means Oedipus is free from the guilt. But if he says that one man single handedly did this, Oedipus is the culprit and he is the killer. In the meantime, there is a messenger from Corinth who comes to Oedipus and informs him that King Polybus has died. Therefore, the people of Corinth want that he should return to his country and be their king. Oedipus is partly satisfied because he has no role in the killing of King Polybus. He is still under the impression that King Polybus was his real father, was his biological father, and he has died a natural death, and he has played no part in his death. So, according to Oedipus, half of the prophecy has gone untrue. But he fears the second part of the prophecy and he shares it with that messenger from Corinth. He informs him that he was given a prophecy that he would kill his father and marry his mother. His mother is still alive and he fears that second part of the prophecy might turn out to be true. On this, the messenger consoles him and comforts him and asks him not to bother. And he makes a revelation and he reveals something that is very crucial, that is very important. He tells Oedipus that King Polybus and Queen Merope are not his real parents. In fact, many years ago, when Oedipus was a baby, he took him to the palace of King Polybus and Queen Merope, and he was brought up there as the real son of the king and the queen because they did not have children of their own. And Oedipus asks him from where he got that child, and that messenger from Corinth tells him that he had got that baby from a shepherd who belonged to the palace of King Laois. Now, when this detail is unfolded and is revealed in front of Queen Jucaste, she asks Oedipus not to make any further probe, not to make any further investigation. But Oedipus is adamant, Oedipus is stubborn, Oedipus is inflexible, and he has too much love for truth. He doesn't care even if that truth is attained at the cost of his own life. And the messenger, the second messenger comes there. This messenger is important. He has a double role. He is the person who escaped from the scene of killing when King Laois was killed, and he is also the person who was given Oedipus as a baby to be killed at Mount Kithron. But this person, this shepherd, took pity on Oedipus and handed him over to the messenger from to the shepherd from Corinth, who is now present in the court of Oedipus as a messenger. Now, when that shepherd testifies the reality, Oedipus is almost wrecked, and Oedipus is in a lost state of mind, and he runs after Queen Jucaste with a sword in his hands to kill her, but he is quite astonished to see that Queen Jucaste has already hanged herself. So he takes out the brooches or the studs from her robes and hurls them into his eyes. And then the scene of his tragedy and the scene of his helplessness is revealed by a messenger who comes out of the palace, and he informs the audience and he informs the people that the king is in a helpless and hapless state of mind. In the last scene, we come to know that the blood is trickling down his cheeks, it is oozing out of his eyes, and Oedipus is crying in anguish, in pain, and he asks Creon to lead him out of the city because he is the greatest pestilence and he is the source of the plague. Creon informs him that God's Apollo's will has not been completely revealed to him, so he will have to stay in that city till further orders. And Oedipus requests him to give a proper burial to Queen Jucaste and take care of his daughters. He is very much worried about his daughters, though he has his sons, but he is not that much worried about them. And the last lines by Karagos are very important. Karagos is of the opinion that no man in this world should brag for and should boast of his achievements till the last day of his life. If he finds out on the very last day that he has lived a life without sin, he can only boast for his success in life. Otherwise, a successful person, a person who has led a successful life, might turn out to be a sinner on the very last day of his life, and the play comes to an end. Viewers, I hope this summary in two parts is clear to you. I have divided it into two parts because of the fact that it was a long summary, and the part of the story was in the past and part of it in the present. So I divided it accordingly. I hope everything is clear to you. Thank you very much. Keep watching, keep following. Allah Hafiz.